Hey guys, how's it going? I want to show you guys another really cool game that I've been playing. This one's called Edge of the Abyss Awaken. It's a Souls-like roguelike and it's really good. The Souls-like genre is pretty popular these days, but I think some games do a much better job than others of emulating the things that make games like Dark Souls so fun. This game really gets it right. Enemies are fair and easy enough to learn so you can get better at dealing with them over time. Another thing that's really important to me in a Souls-like is consistency. There's nothing worse than when you hit an enemy with an attack and it staggers them sometimes, but other times it just doesn't. Things like that really bug me, but in this game that doesn't happen. Enemies always react the same way to the same thing, so you don't get surprised. Another thing I like about this game is that it is a little more forgiving than some other Souls-likes. You don't get locked into attacks or any other animations. You can always dodge out of something if it's not looking good, and overall the animations are really quick and they flow well into each other, which makes the combat feel really fast, snappy, and responsive, which is a lot of fun to play. One thing you do have to watch out for is the tracking that the enemies have. They do track you pretty hard when you dodge, so it's generally better to dodge later rather than earlier. And speaking of dodging, probably the coolest mechanic in this game is the perfect dodge. So when you perfect dodge, at first nothing will happen, but you can get talents during the run that'll add various effects to your perfect dodge, and then it can really become your most powerful ability. I think this is a really great way of rewarding the player for improving their timing and learning the enemy's attacks, and it's also just cool when a monster straight up dies all because you dodged his attack like a G. There are also a bunch of little things in the game that just make sense and make it a lot more enjoyable than it already is. These little butterfly things, for example, speed you up between areas. These rocks that you get upgrade materials from. There is a mining animation, but they also just let you run into the rock. If that's not quality of life, I don't know what is. There's even an out of stuck button in the pause menu. Like, why doesn't every game have an out of stuck button? Think of all the times you've gotten stuck and you had to reload a save or something. I don't even get stuck in this game, but if I did, I'd just out of stuck. The game's also got some roguelike elements, of course, so let me talk a little bit about those. It's a pretty simple gameplay loop. You fight through a few stages of each area until you reach a boss. The bosses are all pretty cool too. Sometimes a Souls-like game can kind of live or die with the bosses, but the bosses in this game are solid and they give you some cool rewards, which I'll talk about in a minute. So along the way you receive talents, and the talents in this game are really well done. I think in a lot of roguelikes you kind of get the good ones, and then for the rest of the run you're just kind of picking whatever because they don't matter as much past a certain point. There's so many talents in this game though, and you can also upgrade your talents, so you're able to pick something that actually matters and you actually want no matter how far you get in the run. During the run, you'll also get some materials that you can use to upgrade your gear, so let me talk about that a little bit. You got a little loadout that you bring into the run that basically consists of a weapon and a lord skill. So there are actually a nice number of weapons, 5 for every different type, that all have different little effects that change up the playstyle a bit. Every weapon type also has its own weapon skills that can be further enhanced by talents unique to that weapon, so there's actually a lot of variety. As for lord skills, these are the rewards I mentioned you get from bosses, and basically they let you turn into the boss for a couple of seconds and do one of their attacks for fat damage. There's actually one that heals too though, and that's important to mention because this game is co-op and I haven't played with anyone, but I think it could be really fun to combine some builds. Almost like a party RPG, because some of the different elemental effects and healing and stuff would combine nicely. Other than that, you've also got a little shop for buying some permanent upgrades, some skins to drip yourself out, and there's also a kind of endless challenge mode. Between that and the way you get better upgrade materials and enhanced lord skills for playing on higher difficulties, there's a nice amount of replayability. The game's also just fun to play, which always helps. There are a couple areas in which the game's a little rough around the edges. Mostly, as I'm sure you've noticed watching the video, the game's translated, so some descriptions are kind of hard to understand and some of the difficulties aren't even translated, so there's that. There are also a lot of effects happening sometimes depending on the talents you pick, and the frame rate can occasionally suffer from that. Overall though, this game has mixed reviews on Steam, but I don't know. If this game is mixed, then a lot more games need to be mixed. I think it's well worth the price if you're into Souls-like games. And that's that for this one, so I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you have some fun with this game. If you want to see some more games I recommend, click the video on the screen, and as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.